Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome everybody. This is my second year presenting at Do It in Durham, and I was able to present at the Business Advisory Center, a webinar in between the two Do It in Durhams as well. So today I'm presenting my specialty, tech tools for better business operations, and weaving in some information about automation and AI in terms of how can you get started with these things when it comes to starting your business and growing your business in the early years. So if you've seen me present before, this is not going to be the exact same content. I change it every time because tech is changing so fast. But some of my favorite tech tools have remained throughout the past year, almost 2 years of managing my business. So I asked this as you were all attending, but you can, if you feel ready, you can put in the chat now. I would love to know who you are, what you do, what tech you use in your business currently, if any. You must at least use Gmail or Microsoft. So let me know in the chat. It helps me just present in a way that is hopefully all the more targeted towards you. And I try to bring in real examples on the fly as I present based on who's in the room. So we'll see. I'll do my best. So, who am I? What am I doing here? I was a marketing professional for about 14 years across a whole bunch of different industries, both in Durham region. I was born and raised here, and also in the GTA and some of the big universities around here is kind of where I've spent my career. About 6 years ago is when I went from being a generalist, a marketer who tries everything, to being a marketer who specializes in technology and automation. I found my favorite part of marketing, the thing that was really emerging 6, 7 years ago, was how we automate our customer experiences to make their journey feel better and our work to be a little bit easier. I started freelancing 4 years ago and doing that part time off the side of my desk. And about a year and a half ago, I finally made the leap to go full time into my business, Reply All. And so I spend my days and my weeks testing technology, consulting with clients on what technology they should use and is their technology working for them. I implement systems, automations, and AI into workflows for organizations. And then I teach stuff like this about once a month. I'm teaching a webinar at community organizations or an organization called Camp Tech. And everything I'm teaching is really around marketing topics and technology topics because I think both of these things are really intimidating and overwhelming for small business owners in the early years. And if I can give you some shortcuts because of my long career in these fields, then I'm not going to gatekeep that information. And this is just a shout out. I'm in Pickering. I'm Durham local, Durham proud. So here's what we're going to talk about in the next under an hour now. We're in the midst of the introductions, of course, getting to know me, you. I'm going to let you know how exactly I assess technology to decide if it's good for small businesses. This is important to me because I've been in webinars where they share technology like HubSpot, which I love. I do love HubSpot. I was trained on HubSpot. It's where I did most of my marketing career. However, it's a really, really big tool for tiny businesses. So I don't like when folks recommend it because it's not usually sustainable for tiny businesses to get started on HubSpot. I have 4 steps that help get you prepped and primed for thinking about implementing new technology, AI, or automation in your business. I've learned through all these webinars and my work with clients that there's 4 steps that I think you could use that really make you like perfectly ready to jump into a new technology. What's the return on investment? Is it going to be worth it to spend time on migrating your tech or getting new tech for your business? How much is it actually going to save you? And then the meat of this conversation is there's 6 areas of business operations. They're here. I'm going to give you within each of those 6 categories, I'm going to name some tech tools that I recommend for small business owners that I've tried and tested. And I'm going to give you some inspiration for easy ways to get started with automation or AI within these categories to streamline your admin. That's what AI and automation is all about is stay in your zone of genius. Everyone uses that term zone of genius and don't waste your time on the stuff that is repetitive and redundant, kind of dragging on you on a weekly basis. And want to let you guys know that I'm pretty good at answering questions on the fly. So if you want to drop them in the chat, I do have it open on my screen. I can see it and I can try to weave my answers into the presentation. But I'll also make sure that there's time for questions like in between my sections. Gives me a quick break so I can drink some water and gives you time to like think and absorb what I'm sharing. So here are how I qualify tech for tiny businesses. I say tiny because did you know small business is either 0 to 50 or 0 to 100 staff, depending on what region you're in? I think that's crazy. So I say tiny businesses. In my mind, this is those of us who are doing it on our own, or we have a couple of staff members. But if you're under 5, 10 staff, I think you're a tiny business and you can probably benefit from a little bit of tech to help ease the work on you. So, tech that I look for has to start at $0. It's got to have a good free plan or at least a good free trial, more than 7 days. You need more than 7 days to test the tech. When you maybe outgrow the free plan, I look at that second tier plan and think, does it have good enough features or is it going to be a big jump in cost to get the basic features that should be included in the tier 1 plan? I don't want that. I tell all of my clients, do not underestimate. Look and feel of technology, I think, is really important in how much we use it, how well we use it. So absolutely, when you first enter a tool and a trial, if it looks and feels overwhelming, you don't like the vibe of it, it's probably not the right fit for you. I look for great learning resources like a blog with how-tos or a YouTube channel with tutorials or a community with community messaging threads that are answering common problems within the technology so that I know my clients will be able to find the answers they need as they get set up on new tech. And I'm always trying to predict, will this tech scale with the businesses that I'm working with? Because I'm often working with businesses in their first 5 years. We got to figure out what's going to happen if your team, your clients, your business doubles. Is it going to fit on the same technology, or are you going to have to do a big clunky migration between technologies? So I try to keep that in mind the best I can. And awesome. Andre is in the chat talking about some of my favorite tech. So very cool. And Shelly, hi. Retirement communities. Oh, I love that, Shelly. That's awesome. Dorothy's in HR. HR tech is a little side passion of mine. Dorothy, love it. Noor, online tea boutique. So Noor, I mostly talk about service-based businesses today simply because I am one and I think we have a lot to benefit from tech, but I think you'll see some recommendations here that will help your workflows too, okay? Just in the e-commerce world, there's a whole other categories of tech for managing your inventory, your email marketing, stuff like that. If you want to have a call about that, let's have a call. I'll talk to you about that. All right, so I found in building my business, it's actually really hard to quantify what return on investment you get when you spend time or money on new tech tools, AI, or automation, because it's usually reducing these tasks that are kind of invisible to you. You don't realize how much they're weighing on you because we're reducing tasks that only take a minute or two. But if you're doing them multiple times a day, multiple times a week, it really adds up. So I created this calculator. I'm not a mathematician, I'm a marketer, so who knows how my math is, but if you go to my homepage, I'll send the link at the end of this presentation. I created this calculator to try to estimate like what is it worth if we reduce one task that is really repetitive in your work on a daily basis. What does that look like in terms of time saving over a week, over a month, and in a dollar value? So let's say we're getting a 5-minute task off your plate. Let's say you do it once a day. So you do it every day of the week, but just once, 7 times a day. And if you're a consultant or, you are in a niche industry like mine, you might be able to charge $145 an hour for your time. Then that is how I got the dollar value of what 35 minutes saved per week is, or 158 minutes a month could be worth the equivalent of this much money. That means we can offload it and not only get more brain power to spend our brain on those higher value tasks for our clients, but it also means we could reallocate this budget to the tech tool that could get it off our plate. So, ready for the 4 steps that tell me you're kind of ready to automate, implement AI, or look for new technology. Number one, and you can jot stuff down. So open up a notebook or notes app. Think about and jot down what tasks are really repetitive in your work. What is the really redundant stuff that you put off until Friday? Like for me, it's the bookkeeping, right? I'm a marketer. I don't want to do the bookkeeping. So I put it off until Friday. It only takes me a couple minutes. I don't know why I avoid it forever, but I don't like it. And we all have to do stuff like this in our business that kind of feels like a waste of our time or it's dragging on our energy. Jot these down because these are going to make great examples of things we should seek an automation to solve it, or we should seek a new tech tool to solve it if we can. Number two is what can we template? So a bit of a similar question, but we're talking about what is repetitive in terms of what you have to communicate over and over and over. So think about if you're in a service-based business like mine, every time someone books a discovery call with you, you might want to email them before and you might want to email them a thank you after. These are very repetitive. These are probably things that we can template and we can still personalize them how we want to, but the structure is the same every time. Similar when a project kicks off or a project ends with a client, should be about the same template every time. I think as we get into our businesses, there's also frequently asked questions that come up from our clients. So if you start to notice them asking the same questions, start saving these in a document because they're not only going to be great frequently asked questions content to put on your website, but that content is really good to train AI or to develop marketing or email automation content to educate your customers to hopefully prevent some of those FAQs. Step three is to integrate. So before we get excited about a new tech tool, let's look at how could we actually make the tools we already use work better together. And this can be, maybe you're like, I don't use all that tech, Sarah. That's okay. If you just use the Google Workspace and one other tool, then that's an integration that you can focus on improving to make sure your your customer data, your project information, your to-do list is synced across multiple apps. So yeah, look at the tools you already use. Maybe it is just like your Gmail and your accounting software. Let's integrate those. Let's see if we can pull our client's name and address over into our accounting software so that the next time you invoice, you don't have to take a minute to look for all that information. It's done automatically. These are the types of quick integrations. We're just forcing our apps to communicate to each other so we don't have to hunt, copy, paste all the time. Number four is to eliminate some things. So when we get in a mindset of looking at our systems and processes, the tools that we use and the steps that we make our customers and clients, partners go through, you start to notice where steps are a little bit clunky or there's too many of them or there's delays between the steps. Like if people are getting a long time getting back to you, taking a long time getting back to you about proposals you sent, how can we look to reduce that amount of time or the amount of steps taken to get a proposal into their hands? This is the kind of stuff we want to look to eliminate steps if we can, speed things up, make it a lot smoother and clearer for the customer and better for our workflows too. So now we're into the heart of the conversation. I've broken down 6 elements that I think make up business operations because that's a very big, broad term. When we talk about operations and admin, there's a lot to it. So let's break it down into 6 areas. I'm going to give you some tool examples in each of these areas, and then some automation and AI inspiration in each of these areas. So let's start with admin here. For today's purposes, I'm considering admin a lot of the communications that we need to do, emails, discovery calls, video calls, phone calls, stuff like that. So some tools I recommend are powerful in this area. And again, all of these are free or very affordable at the starter price. For appointment bookings, I'm sure many of you have heard of Calendly. It's been a very big, dominant player in the calendar management world, but there are some alternatives coming out. Google has made their own appointment scheduling piece of Google Workspace. I believe you do need to pay for a Google Business account in order to get this functionality, but it might be worth it for just streamlining your booking process. Both of these, you can also actually get paid through the process. So if you wanted to add a 1 hour consultation call to your clients that is a paid service, you can streamline that process by implementing payments right in the booking process. There's another emerging booking tool out there called Setmore. It's quite good. I'm hearing good things about that. There's also Acuity scheduling built into Squarespace if you run your website on Squarespace. So this is just about less back and forth about availability for meetings. That's really the time savings here. Then once you're in the meeting, you've probably seen lots of little AI agents flying around. We've got one in here today, the Super Normal AI note taker, which I'm not sure if that's mine or not because I use Super Normal. I don't think it's mine. I think it knows I'm talking to it. Do you see it's wiggling there? So there's a whole lot of them out there. They're all very affordable or free. So this is going to be a category where you just go with your personal preference. But I see a lot of people on Fireflies, and I've seen a lot of people on Supernormal now. I like Supernormal just simply because of how the AI summarizes my to-dos at the end of a call. I think it's quite smart. But yeah, this is really just replacing the need to take furious notes when you're meeting with somebody. And then normally we have to do a lot of thinking and processing of those notes to decide our to-dos, how we're going to follow up, what the proposal should look like. I find my Supernormal AI agent really helps me with that because it's got the entire transcript. It's also summarized it in bullet points, and then it's pulled out usually about 5 to 8 to-dos for me to follow up on. So it's been really helpful. Then I think our inboxes get out of control really fast as well. I know mine do. So aside from just use smart filters, folders, and labels if you're in Gmail, there's also some apps out there right now that are helping you organize your inbox. So Superhuman is a little bit on the pricier side. By pricey, I mean $25 and above. You know, we're usually talking about cheaper options here, but Superhuman is a way that if you have a staff member or a virtual assistant and you want to be able to delegate some emails to them to respond to and some to yourself, Superhuman is perhaps the most powerful app I've seen that will help you do that. And then Sorted is a new one out there on the market as well. So yeah, these are just all about like smoother discovery calls, smoother follow-ups that hopefully help you land more business in the end because your follow-ups are more accurate. Any questions on admin tools, you can drop them in the chat. Otherwise, I will take a sip of my water and we will move to the next section. I think those admin tools are a pretty good place to get started with tech, automation, and AI. I find a lot of people who are overwhelmed and don't know what to operate their whole business on. You know, they might be still deciding on other tech tools or avoiding other tech tools. But that category of Calendly, calendar management, that's where they're comfortable getting started. All right. So again, this could be a little bit service provider based, but I think product, e-commerce shops and retailers, food and beverage, so many of us have a lot of projects, ideas, tasks, and to-dos. Some are really big, some are really small tasks. We need a place to house those, or else they're going to be on all of your note pages and post-it notes all over the place. I got a chalkboard here. I find it gets out of control really fast, so I highly recommend a project management system for most small business owners. The good thing too is that all of these start for free, and I tell people stay on the free plan as long as you can because there are other categories of tech like the documents and contract space. It is really hard to get a free plan in that space. That's where you're going to have to invest a little bit of money, but the project management area could be where you save a little bit of money. So some of the big players on the market, I would say, are Notion, which is kind of an all-in-one tool that if we have enough time, I'm going to demo for you at the end of this. Asana, popular project management software. Monday, I see Andre's a Monday person in there, so am I. And ClickUp. All four of these are great. All four of them you can start for free. I would say they increase from simplest to most advanced. So Notion is a little bit no frills, like very simple. And Monday and ClickUp can get quite complex in the amount of templates and automations you can use. So I'd say those are more for people a little bit more comfortable. in tech. All right. The best use of automation and AI in this category is simply the fact that you don't have to spend as much brain space planning your to-do lists, your days, your weeks, thinking about what do I have due when. If you set up a project management tool properly and use templates for how you want to work every time, then every time you start a new project, your project management system could actually chart out the dates and deliverables for you. That's the ideal state. Is it always perfect? No, I'm refreshing my project management templates right now to suit my new way of working. But to not have to think about that on every single week, I think saves me a lot of brain power. And as you start to maybe get a virtual assistant, maybe get your first couple of staff, it becomes all the more powerful when you get to start delegating. And then as those staff start working on these things, the project management tool will then send you notifications on where things are at, what's delayed, stuff like that. It's a real time saver for teams. All right, similar. I'm gonna do a quick pause for questions and comments, but given we're a smaller group, I feel I don't need to like sit here and wait for questions to come in. You guys just ask me anytime, and even if it's a section I covered 10 minutes ago, it's okay. I'll come back to it. All right, my favorite section, marketing. AI and automation has done wonderful things for marketers. We no longer have to struggle with writer's block as bad as we did. We don't have to edit videos for days or weeks. We can do them in hours or minutes now. It's been a wonderful time to be a marketer. So, here are a couple of my favorite free apps for marketing a small business. I'm sure many, many of you now know about Canva being the graphic design tool that so many of us are using. I don't, I pretty much never tell people that they should upgrade their tech because that's not my business. But Canva's tier two, where you actually start paying for Canva, is where you unlock a ton of AI features to help you do things as simple as resizing to as complicated as creating like a whole suite of branded templates with stock images and stuff like that. So, of all the tools I talk about, I think Canva might be the one worth paying for. Next one is Buffer for social media scheduling. This is the one I use, especially if you want to schedule across more than one social channel. I get this question all the time. What if I'm only on one social media? Then you can just publish natively, we call it, to that social media. But I find a lot of benefit in Buffer once you get two channels or more, or more than one channel, the scheduling features, the AI features of Buffer to help you come up with ideas and the right time to post. The analytics that the AI can do in Buffer is really great. Again, starts at $0, and the second tier is only $7, which I think is just crazy. Amazing pricing at Buffer compared to the other social tools out there. So it's a good one. My favorite MailChimp alternative for email marketing is called MailerLite. It's a little bit more affordable than MailChimp. I think it's easier to use, a better designer, and more powerful email marketing as well. So check that one out. I actually just got an email today. They're going to run a big sale because it is software sale season around Black Friday as well. So that came in this afternoon. I'm excited about that. And then I know a lot of us, if we're thinking about creating content for our businesses or educating in formats like this, you might be thinking about doing video or podcast or something like that, knowing how powerful that can be for our brands. I love tools like Descript for video editing. It is incredible. The AI features that you have access to in the free plan, they do limit you. You can only use it a couple times for free, but you could take a 30-minute video and in seconds crisp up the audio, center the speaker, and get like 10 different social media clips out of it. Automatically cuts to 15, 30-second, or 60-second clips. It's awesome. Yeah, Sarah. So ConvertKit just rebranded to Kit. It's a wonderful email marketing platform too. I have nothing bad against it. I actually need to circle back to it now that it's rebranded and see what's new over there. There's certainly a lot of email marketing tools on the market that are kind of apples and apples to each other in terms of the features. This is going to be another one. It's all about look and feel. And for me, MailerLite has the best drag and drop designer, so that's why I like it so much. speaking of MailerLite and email automation, in the marketing world, obviously there's a lot we can do with AI across all of these categories. It can help us write, edit photos, videos, whatever. So I chose to focus on email automations in my handy tip here for how to get started. Because I think when we are small businesses trying to scale, people are going to fall through the cracks. There's going to be people we forget to respond to or who kind of ghost us for a couple months and we don't think to circle back to them. That's what email automation is for. That's what email newsletters are for, so that you can keep nurturing and educating people who weren't quite ready to book with you or buy from you 6 months ago. Email marketing and automation can just keep them interested without you really having to chase them. So that's where I got my start in like marketing technology. I've seen the power of it. And in the sense of marketing, it's one of the more affordable ways to market yourself versus running ads and stuff like that. Questions and comments on that? Drop them in the chat. All right. People management, managing leads that come in interested in you and your conversations with them, and then clients. Again, I'm thinking very service based, but even in the product space, if you're thinking about going after wholesalers, retailers, partners, influencers, there's a case for all of us. At some point, there's going to be too many people for us to follow up with and manage and remember all their information. That's a good sign you need a CRM. So I probably went like 2 months in my business before I needed a CRM real quick. CRM stands for Client Relationship Management System. But again, it's not just clients, it's anyone you want to have a business relationship with. A CRM captures not only the key data about them around their contact information, maybe their business information, but most CRMs will also capture all of the touch points you've had with them. So if you sync your Gmail in, it's going to gather all of your threads with them so you can see your past conversations. If they've booked a call with you before, it's going to have that information. Showed up to a webinar with you, they're going to have that information, ideally. The most affordable CRMs on the market that I know of right now are called Folk, Copper, or Capsule. Folk, I really love if you are building your business very dependent around LinkedIn and connecting with people on LinkedIn. Folk has a really good integration with LinkedIn so that you can use them kind of in tandem. Copper is one of the better ones that plugs into Gmail right now. So again, if you want a, a CRM that works directly with your Gmail at an affordable price, Copper has just reduced their prices for businesses like ours. They used to be a bit too expensive. They've brought it down to like $10 to $20 a month. And Capsule, similar like to the first two, they're all very beginner friendly. And I find when I tried out Capsule, the onboarding experience in terms of uploading all of my contacts was really fast and really easy. Yeah, Rod, these are them. Office 365. It's the thing about Office 365 is it'll still integrate with a lot of these things. It's just not always as what I call as friendly an integration as Google Workspace. So it might be limited in how much data it transfers between. And there are some apps that simply just like don't play well with Microsoft. But if you take a quick look at the integrations page of any of these three suggestions, then you'll find your answer real quick. And if none of them work with Microsoft Rod, then email me and I'll find one that does. Most of my clients work in Google Workspace, to be honest, but I have a database of all the small business CRMs that I'm tracking and monitoring for their cost, their best use cases for small business owners, stuff like that. So with a little bit of extra searching, I can figure out a Microsoft one. Yes, I tried Odoo as well, Sarah. It was pretty good. It does take a lot of time. It depends how embedded you are in Odoo. Yeah, Sarah, we'll just have to talk about what features are most important to you and if Odoo's doing them for you. Honestly, I'm about to switch my CRM for the second time because I thought I really loved it, but there's a really important feature that it's missing that I really need. All right. So the best use of automation in AI in terms of CRM systems, I think, is the fact that it used to be impossible. expensive, or illegal to get information on companies. And now some of these CRMs will have what's called data enrichment or AI enrichment, which is if you are the type of business that's working with other businesses or realtors, for example, or accountants, people whose information is public information, AI can now scrape the web and search for information on those people to enrich the information you have in your CRM. So Folk does this really well. I was so impressed that it did this on the free plan. I put in my contacts, and some of them, I don't know their LinkedIn profile. I met them at an event, and others of them, I have their email, but I don't have their website URL. And Folk was able to scrape the web and search for some of that information so that I have more complete looks at my data, which is crazy. This used to be a very expensive thing that we marketers and salespeople had to do. And like I said, or it was illegal. You would have to buy lists that were not, it was frowned upon because you didn't have consent to reach out to them. Now you can do data enrichment on the people you know, you have consent to reach out to them. And if it's publicly available data, then the CRMs and the AI can find it. All right. No more questions, but I do see Sarah Peel loves Canva and Buffer as well. Love to hear it, Sarah. Sarah Peel is my friend in digital marketing. So if you haven't seen Niche Up Digital, then that's Sarah Peel. I'll shout her out because I know she's not presenting this year, so she needs a shout out. All right. So, one of the biggest questions I get from clients in the services industry and even clients in Durham region is, okay, I have a CRM and I have a project management system, but I have not found a good document management solution because DocuSign, the big player out there, gets very expensive for small business owners. So they come to me to find out, is there a solution and is there an affordable solution? The answer is yes and no. The reason document solutions, I used to be really mad that document solutions and financial apps are the more expensive ones, that it is almost impossible to get a free plan or an affordable plan at like the $10 a month mark. But I've changed my tune because think about it like this. They're processing our most important information and they're housing our most important information. The document management systems are managing our legally binding contracts. That's why they charge the big bucks for it. That's why it might be worth paying $30, $50 a month if you're the type of person that is going to have a lot of contracts to keep up with. Same with money management. They're sending our financial data between the bank and Stripe and our invoices on a daily basis. So yeah, they got to charge us for that service. It just makes sense. So here are some alternatives that I've seen to DocuSign. And there's nothing wrong with DocuSign. I really like the user experience. It just gets expensive. eSignatures.io is a fairly new one on the market, super affordable and pretty friendly integration with other tools. Signwell, I haven't used this personally yet. I've just had a client who recommended it a couple weeks ago, so it's on my list to look further into Signwell. The thing I always try to make sure is confirm that they're legally binding in Canada. Because every once in a while they're not. Because if they're like a UK company or they're compliant with other regions, they might just not have the very specific certification for Canada. PandaDoc is a very popular alternative to DocuSign. And then, of course, I still put DocuSign on here at the bottom. Works well in our contract funnel. Awesome. So there's Sarah right there telling us Signwell is working for her for, a small digital marketing agency. Love to hear it. Now, one of the big benefits, I think, to contract, EverSign, good one, Teresa. Yes, I've heard a lot of things about EverSign as well. It should be on this list. Now, yeah, the other feature that makes document management solutions really helpful is the fact that they can chase people on your behalf. So technically, if you have a lawyer for your business, they can write up a contract for you that you use every single time and you get people to sign it and scan it into you. You manage it in your Google Drive. That's technically probably what a lot of people are doing. Why I like these solutions is the reminders, the chasing, the updates that you and your client get if those contracts go unsigned or negotiations need to happen. So I really like that. Saves you some time there. And finally, let's talk about money because although I'm not a financial expert, I know a little bit about financial apps because, bias disclaimer here, I worked for Xero accounting software for 3 years. So I understand the accounting landscape in Canada quite a bit. And I also realized that in our first months and years of business, like this is one of the first set of apps that we need to tackle is where are we going to do our business banking? How are we going to send invoices and how are we going to get paid? So the big players on the market are really Xero, QuickBooks. Sage is in there too. I just find Sage, it seems like less small businesses use Sage. The small businesses stick with Xero or QuickBooks or Wave. I started out as a freelancer on Wave. I quite like that experience. And I don't know if it's still true, but Wave did have a free plan forever, which means you were just paying the payment processing fees on your transactions, which unfortunately most of these financial apps are going to charge transaction fees. So just make sure you read the fine print about, what fraction of a percentage they're taking off your invoices or your Stripe payment processing, stuff like that. So these are the accounting tools. This is where you would do your quotes, invoices potentially, and bank reconciliation for the expenses you're charging your business, stuff like that. Behind these tools, again, there's also your business bank. You want to sync into these. And what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, Stripe. So, with some of these, you're still going to need to plug in a payment processing tool like Stripe that actually transfers the money in between Xero, your bank, and your client. It's weird. It's just a necessary evil in some cases. And awesome. Teresa still uses Wave as well, still free. Awesome. Because I did hear they were going to have to up their prices, but that was about a year ago. So I hope they've been able to maintain the free plan. Awesome. So yeah, the benefit here, there's not a ton of AI and automation in the financial apps, but I always share the joke that the reason is we don't want the robots managing our money, okay? We do need to manage it ourselves. But some of the ways that AI and automation has actually been in banking for a lot longer than other places is in the stuff like smart bank reconciliation and like accounts management. So if you think about even your personal credit card and how sometimes it knows your categories, right? It knows that the little cafe down the street is, in fact, goes under the food and beverage category. That's a little bit of AI and automation that's working in the background and learning your habits. So it's always been a part of it. I think another really big time saver that technology can help with in the early days is that if you're the type of business that does need to make a lot of purchases on the go or physical purchases, get a mobile receipt capture type of system that plugs into your accounting system of choice. It'll save you a whole bunch of time around tax season if you have those already uploaded. All right. If there's no questions or comments on that, then I do have time to show you Notion. So please let me know in the chat if you know Notion yet. The reason I always try to make time for demos during my presentations. Normally I do it section by section, but I decided to teach Notion today because it can technically do a little bit of all of the business operations I just showed you. The caveat there is Notion is really no frills. It's free almost forever. You might need to upgrade to the $10 account if you want to add a team member in there, but Notion was truly designed to be like no frills and free. It has limited automation potential, but it does have a lot of integrations to the leading apps out there. So it's another reason I like it. It's you can bring a lot of things together in Notion. And the reason I decided to share it today really is the fact that couple weeks ago, I was screaming on my LinkedIn feed. Those of you who follow me will know I posted multiple times that their product announcements for 2024 coming into 2025 were absolutely insane. I'm so excited, and I know it's going to become really powerful. I also know it might be the most affordable tool overall for tiny businesses. So let me show you what it's capable of. At a basic level, oh wait, can you see? Did I properly switch my screen, Teresa? Okay, cool. So, Notion at a very basic level, I think about it like this. If you shared and saved all of your ideas, plans, contacts, everything into Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, and you had 20 documents in a drive, that's fine. We've all been doing that for years, right? But what Notion does is the same thing. You can do documents and sheets and whatever, but it creates a hierarchy of these things. So you have your most important documents at the top. My whole reply all business plan strategy, everything is in here. Then I also have all of my Calendly calls. So this sort of acts like a CRM to track all my people. I have a tools library of all the tools I've used. There's like 200 of them in here now. And it's everything from like really informal brainstorms that I'm just dropping my ideas on the go. I have it on my phone to really formalizing my business. Yeah, making it legitimate and real, and even publishing things that I can share with my clients. Like I created this tech tools audit template that if you have a lot of tech and you want to audit it, you're probably not in that place, but you can, this is a public published Notion that people can steal this, make a copy, and use my framework for assessing if their technology is working for them. Now, one of the other reasons I think it's really good for small businesses is you don't actually need to start with a blank page anymore because the Notion marketplace has improved even in the last couple of months. Now there's 20,000 templates out there so that you don't need to start from scratch. So this is what I wanted to show you. Let's look at somebody's like calendar and to-dos so that you can see just what's out there, that you can apply this to your Notion space. If you need a content request calendar, you can create that in Notion. If you want even like personal life to-do lists, habit trackers are in here, travel planners. There's a lot of talented people publishing free things or sometimes paid. You can see that one's $3. But let me show you the good stuff like project management. So you can see this is a freelancer's right here. He's branded it all cute. And this is where he's got, he's got it all planned out for how his projects will look different than his tasks if we were able to click into these. Clients in a separate space, invoices. Honestly, it mystifies me that people are able to do invoices on Notion. I don't know how yet, but I get it. It's in there. Um, oh yes, Teresa, I can of course share links to all this stuff. Okay. Um, can I click clients? No, because it's not, uh, because I haven't actually added it to my space. I can't like click into it all the way. But oh, look, here's an inventory management system. This one's a paid one, but let's look anyways. Ooh, yeah, I like what he's done here with his left sidebar having proposals and contracts in one section, goals in the other. He's got people in lead versus proposal versus negotiation. There's a calendar view for potential meetings coming up. Love that. If we go to Notion AI, it's gotten a lot better in the past couple weeks too. Now, Notion AI, you do need to pay for $10 a month, so just be aware of that. You get started for free. If you want the AI capability, $10, but they'll let you trial it for free. So just like a chat GPT, we can say, make a list of 10 social media post ideas for LinkedIn for my business. I'm a marketing technology consultant. Let's see how it does today. Pretty good, pretty good. It's a little bit slower than ChatGPT, but I like having it all in one space. I learned in the early days of my business that you should have a second brain for your business. There's a book by a man named Tiago Forte. I think that's how I say it. That's why I made sure I use Notion as the place to get stuff out of my head and onto a page and then, organize it later. Yeah, one last template. Let's look and see if we can find an example of a financial planning template or something, because this is the area of Notion. I'm like, it probably can't bring in our transactions and stuff. I think it will be limited in that way, but let's just see what people are doing on here. I know, Teresa, right? We need a, I mean, it's coming. An AI that can actually go across all of our apps is coming, but it's not quite good yet. Um, yeah. So this person is just using it for personal budgeting, but if you wanted to do, an annual budget for your business, for your marketing, if you wanted to track your income, maybe you do have a database of invoices that you have coming or come are coming due in the future, then you could technically create some charts to do financial projections in Notion. This is just where I would say if you are overwhelmed by tech and you do not want to get into multiple techs yet in your business, you can get away with something like Notion. Do I recommend it long term? No, there are better apps that can do these functions for us a lot more deeply and a lot better. But I think Notion is a cool place to start. Oh yeah, and like I said, Notion Mail is coming in 2025. So one of the things that I don't like about Notion as a client relationship management system is it cannot capture the emails between you and that client. So you can have all the client's information, you can have notes on the project you're doing for them, but it's really important to me in my CRM that I can also see my conversations with that person in the same view. Notion hasn't been able to do that, but I think with Notion Mail coming, it's going to be a smarter inbox. It's going to pull from our Gmail and use AI to categorize our stuff. And it's also going to be able to filter by client a lot better. So that's the one I was screaming when they announced this. I was so excited. All right, some concluding thoughts and where to find me if you want to follow for more information like this. At the end of all my presentations, I always say, I throw a lot at you, okay? I get you excited about tools, but I give you a lot of ideas. You cannot do all the things that I told you about today, okay? Don't get too excited, don't get too ambitious. Focus on 1 to 2 tools at a time. Figure them out one at a time. Integrate 2 apps first before you go on board to 5 other ones. I also say, as much as we use tech to try to save time, it takes time upfront to set up your tech properly. A lot of people miss this point. So make sure as you are learning new technology and implementing it in your business, set aside a little bit of time. I do it every Friday to go into my tech and either learn something new or go update something like my client's information or my project plan on something. And on the left side here, my left, I don't know, I've got free resources. So free resources on my website. You saw that automation calculator. That's just on my homepage. So you can play around with that if you want to just estimate what you could do with a little bit of automation in your business. I have a landing page with my list of free or affordable tech tools, most of which I've mentioned today, but there will be a couple more on there. I update it about every quarter, so you can check that out. You'll also be able to see roughly what I use in my business and how much it costs. Now, because I want people to set aside more time for tech, I've started tech time co-working every other Friday. So if you've never done co-working, it's weird, but it's just us sitting here working together quietly. It's like accountability buddies on a Friday at 11 a.m. so that we can get some of that tech admin stuff done. And then I am most active on LinkedIn of all the social channels. So if you want to follow me on there, I post about tech every couple days. Now, on the flip side, if you're like, okay, Sarah, you just talked to me about tech for an hour and you didn't convince me that I want tech, but I know I need it. If you want me to help you with your tech or your marketing, I've decided to test out, truly just launching this right here, a pay what you can marketing advice or tech advice for tiny businesses like us. So if you scan this, it'll lead you to a Google form. It would ask you a couple of questions about your business, your challenge, your goals, and if you need marketing advice or if you need technology advice, you can just pay what you can. I'll do an hour or two of work for you, really snippy, and then by the end of the year, you can have some suggestions on what to focus on next from somebody who's been doing it for 15 years. That's my pitch. And with that, we have 2 minutes left. And if you have any further questions, then drop them in the chat or come off mic, and I would love to help out.